Okay, I did see that there was ambush over here. Yeah. Anything else? I don't see anything else. Did that just say my death had been avenged? Nice. Thank you, whoever that was. I don't think the game tells me who it was, unfortunately. Also, I would thank you by name. They might tell me in the second game. I don't remember if they made that update. Yeah. I wonder how many times an Outcast has thanked me for freeing him, and then I immediately accidentally knocked him over because I didn't see him there.
Thank you. Please.
Weapons of war now available.
Making weapons to arm the slaves. I'm sure the fool's been caught.
You have info for me? Because I might be in need of some more guys to hunt. Stakuga. I like that name. I wonder what it means. Tolkien's Orcish was not very fleshed out. He only did as much as he needed to for certain stories. Which is how it generally goes. But Elvish gets used a lot more than Orcish in Tolkien's writing, so there's a lot more words in Tolkien's Elvish than there are in his Orcish. Also, a note, just in case anybody listening to me didn't already know this. It's not just a one Elvish language that Tolkien had. Just want to make sure that I point that out at least once in case anyone was getting 100% of their information on that from me. I think the two are called Sindarin and Quenya, if that's even the proper pronunciation. Oh, he's gonna take forever to chase down. And there was a specific reason of why he made the difference, why he made the distinction between the two, but I could never quite get a firm grip on what that distinction was. So I just always combined the two in my head, but that's not the proper version. The proper version is the two distinct languages. This should put me pretty close.
Stop here! Where's the extra grog? I'm thirsty.
Wait.
Look alive! Some fool's gonna get killed! Attack! Attack!
Wait, what's happening? I'm now realizing that I was not paying enough attention to the explanation of what was going on. Aha!
A lot of hard work you just ruined!
You are tall.
Idiot ranger!
I do not like when people are taller than me.
I'm too sharp for that trick!
And I can't jump over him, which makes sense. But it's still annoying. Oh, I saw the color red right next to my hit streak and thought that I had another execution available, but it was just other red things moving around close to my hit streak. Yeah. That spear came much quicker than expected. Alright. There we go. Something?
Next time, you piece of schrock, you won't be so lucky.
Oh, are you running? Give me a sec. Yeah. Vulnerable terrain. That's just annoying. Oh, that's over now. Gimme. That's for automatic critical hits. I don't think I use those. I think I'm only like 3 points away now. Yeah. Need one more captain, and I think I just got information on this guy. So, strengths and weaknesses. Vulnerable to stealth. Okay. Can't use ranged. That's not a major concern. Whereabouts is he though? I keep forgetting that they don't tell me exactly where they are generally. It's in this direction. Oh, he's showing up on the radar. Okay. Hey there. That was a distraction for me. That was an awkward bolt. Oh, who put you back in your cage? And why is this not doing anything? That's never happened before. You there, join me. Yeah. What a... Ow. I was not expecting so many guys here all at once. Right. Could somebody just notice that something just moved? Some of these guys are a bit slow. Ooh. Ah, gee. Interestingly, I ended up using my vampire template on a project that wasn't even technically fantasy. And I sometimes class it as dark fantasy because of some of the elements in it, but it's more post-apocalyptic as far as the genre, with some dark fantasy elements mingled in. Forgot what buttons to press there. And because of it being a post-apocalyptic story, I actually ended up having to make quite a few changes anyways to the way the vampires work, because depending on
Stakuga.
yeah, I think that's who I'm after. I don't know if I'll be able to stealth him if he's in the middle of an area like this.
The crowd broke loose and now someone's gotta go get it back. Well, I'm not doing
It may turn into
I say leave it road. Maybe
killing a bunch of other guys in the process. Now then. This might actually work. I'll try brutalize. Just so that I don't have to deal with as many other people. Okay, it worked. Ouchie. Man. Yeah. Yeah, shield. That angle for that ended up looking weird. Yeah. Okay. I think I'm done here more or less. Let me try and focus on other things. I have a follower around here. Oh, I thought that was a bush, but it's not, it's just a shrub. Can't hide in it. Be a hiding bush. I can't find one. It's taking too long. Ah, over here maybe. There we go. Now I can take a look at upgrades again. Yeah, I'm on to the last tier. That took some time. Excuse me. Okay, so double charge. I do believe that is the thing that I want the most. Because while in combat, that means that I can do that once I get my hit streak high enough, I can do an execution on a captain, do them some damage, and brand somebody to give myself an ally and recover some health. So that I can make progress against the captain while also recovering health. That is, I think, the primary thing that I've been missing, and possibly the final piece towards making me practically unkillable, as I put it. I don't remember if there was another rune that I needed, but there isn't one coming to mind. Other vendetta available. Another time, maybe. So yeah, the project that I ended up using that template for to help me with figuring out vampire characters was Vampires versus Dragons. And when the idea for that story first came to me, one of the things I realized I needed to figure out early on in the decision-making process was is this story going to be set in a fantasy world or in the real world? Because it could go either way. Vampires and dragons would be very at home in medieval times as long as it's a relatively secluded area. But one of the things I had to consider was I always think about the core concept of a story when making decisions like that. And the core concept was vampires versus dragons. It's fairly straightforward. But it is a versus story, and whenever you're doing a versus story, one of the things that you have to make sure that you do in order for your audience to feel like you are treating the concept properly is you have to look at the strengths and weaknesses of both groups, or both individuals if it's one specific character versus another. The audience needs to know that you are acknowledging those things and working them into the story, and not giving one side or the other an unfair advantage that is unnatural to them.
Isn't it lovely, dear? The dwarves made this.
You've been drinking. You smell like a mule who's gotten into the rock gut.
It's a fine anniversary present. And look at the craftsmanship.
Is she an orc?
It was brought in from the sea.
She's got the accent.
You won this at the tavern. My husband. Get in the house.
I don't know if there are female orcs, or if both genders just look basically the same. It's possible they do to me.
The rivers of this sea reach beyond the Efelduoth. If the tribesmen can escape, they could travel north to Minas Ithil.
So who did what now?
Nani here, Gelal Mordor.
Oh, we're making a pretty picture. Okay. I don't know that I'll finish that in this particular playthrough. There's another flower over here somewhere. Aha. And one of the common weaknesses for a vampire is a crucifix. So I wanted to make sure that I included that. But there are things to consider when thinking about how to include crucifix as a weakness for vampires, because if you decide to set it in a fantasy world, then you have to explain why the cross has the effect that it does on vampires when that world probably hasn't encountered Christianity. Unless you want to get into interdimensional missionaries, which you can, but I, for the purposes of this story, didn't really want to get into that.
All right. Hold still. I'm afraid to say it's going to...
It's going to,
It's going to hurt.
Oh, that's what you were going to
Called
say.
for one of your people, but I don't... In the meantime, why don't you tell me about that? The medallion you're holding.
No thanks.
You just want to distract me. Very well. These are the two trees of Valinor. A symbol of the endless cycle. Life, death, and rebirth. Come closer, and I will tell you their tale. We must... I feel we must distract ourselves from the grim happenings of this day.
Come closer, and I shall tell you about death. That sounds like a no thank you to me.
There will be no medals for us, Celebrimbor. No honor or glory.
Let those who come after take the glory. We must keep hope alive long enough for them to have that chance.
What? Based on some of the fantasy worlds that I've seen, you don't necessarily need to incorporate Christianity specifically in order to use the cross symbol, because I have used it, I have seen it used just as a generic symbol of holiness or religion in general. Because for a lot of people that is what it means, or it's the first thing that comes to mind. When they see it, but because of my own personal faith, because I'm Christian myself, it is something that I have to take more seriously. Yeah. That counts as freeing you.
Slave attack the slaver. If they didn't
Okay, good.
kill him, I'm sure he's wishing for death by now.
I didn't want to have to kill my own captain. But I suppose I would. For you guys, if I have to. So,
You should have seen the damage one of our hunters did
I ended
to
up
the
deciding against having vampires versus dragons be set in a fantasy world. Because I wanted to be able to incorporate the cross as a weakness less awkwardly than I would have to if I had to explain interdimensional missionaries. This should be quite doable. Also, I have another ability. Striking enemies with a glowing sword will deal double damage. That does sound useful. I think I feel like Shadow Strike more so, though. Yeah. Isn't to be digging that Morphoder version. And I might save up for maxing out my health. I can do that. Just because I am getting near to the end of this, or I'm getting towards the final missions. Alright. Looks like there's 5 slaves this time. This could take a bit longer.
Over here.
Yeah. Can I get to you from across there? There we go. Oh yeah! I unlocked the doubles. How about that? That might take a bit of getting used to before I start to really utilize it.
Here to save us all. Don't give up.
Okay. But then when I thought about setting Vampires vs. Dragons in the real world, in what would be the most obvious and natural environment, which is the medieval era, I thought about the scale of conflict that I wanted to do with this story and realized there is no possible way that that conflict is going to happen on that scale and it not be something that either drastically changed the landscape of a large area or was recorded in history. Like I would have to, it could be done, but I would have to jump through so many hoops. I would have to restrict myself in so many ways and tone down the level of conflict that I wanted to do in order to make it something that would not have been
We can't rescue our friends alone.
mentioned in the history books. So rather than do that, I made the decision to, like, since it was going to be causing a lot of destruction anyway of the landscape,
Did I just hear something?
I decided it would give me a lot more freedom to just set it in a post-apocalyptic environment. Yeah. Apparently pressed buttons in the wrong order there. Yeah. Oopsie, sorry. Alright, there is... Oh. Actually...
You really hit the slaver with a shot.
thought I would be able to
I like you, slave.
keep the charge longer if I went into ranged mode, since it slows down time, but apparently not. Alright. I'm hearing someone very close. Oh, here we are. Okay. Yeah. And he's done now. When I remember and it works out, I like to brutalize the orcs that are taunting the slaves at the time. Just because that probably makes the slaves feel a bit better. Two shields. Don't know this is gonna go. Somebody's shooting at me. Oh, he has like a throwing axe or something. I didn't even know that.
What a coward.
Can you hear me? We need
No.
help.
Okay. There we go.
You really gave it to those orcs. If I could fight like you, I wouldn't have ended up here.
You might have. I haven't been fighting all that well this whole time. But I'm doing a bit better now. I'm seeing a symbol for another fire here, but I'm not... Oh, there it is. Okay. Yep. Ugh. Okay. Yeah. And because of movies like Reign of Fire and I want to say Priest, but there might be other post-apocalyptic vampire stories that are just not coming to mind at the moment. But because of movies like that, I already knew that it was possible to come up with contexts or scenarios for vampires and dragons being either non-existent or dormant until after an apocalyptic event occurs. So I didn't have to think too hard to come up with explanations for why vampires and dragons are not having these wars right now, and why they only get serious later on. So that helped. Hey, made it to the end of the video. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this, don't forget to leave a like, leave a comment to let me know what you think, and subscribe to stay notified about future content. Until next time, thanks again for watching. I hope you're all staying safe. I'll see you later.